From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes, brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week. We slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Minnesota sports scene. Here we are, basically mid-December. A lot going on. Where do you want to start?
Well,
Purple?
I suppose. I mean, we got a lot to talk about. Your Timberwolves they had a monstrous month of November, even though they weren't the Lakers that won the in-season tournament.
No, that's
very important. Wild kind of back on track. Gopher Hoops, they started the Big Ten correctly anyway, the win over Nebraska. So plenty to talk about, but yeah, let's go purple. Look, when I look at this Minnesota Vikings team, I think, and I've said it since day one that Kirk Cousins got hurt, that defensively, they're a playoff team. And they should and will get into the playoffs if the defense continues to play like they have. But I don't know, man. This quarterback carousel, 4 different starting quarterbacks now. They have tied the Cleveland Browns for most starting quarterbacks this season.
In the NFL, which is, just so determined to protect the quarterback, keeps losing quarterbacks on a weekly basis. Yeah. So it's going to happen. It's a physical game. It's a violent game, even though it's soft compared to, yesterday and yesteryear, so to speak. But you know what? Purple Nation, quit whining about a victory. 3-0 over the Las Vegas Raiders out in Nevada a few days ago.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe it didn't do much for your fantasy team, but they got to win, and they got a shutout. You know how hard it is to get a shutout in today's NFL? Because Roger Goodell and all of his goons who run the NFL don't want defense to succeed. So I was so happy to see it. The only thing I didn't like is it wasn't a 0-0 overtime tie. I wanted goose eggs all over the board.
All right. I Yeah, well, look, if this game was played like 70 years ago, because that's how far they set back offense in that particular game, both teams, by the way, I would say, okay, if this game was played in the muck and the mud of Soldier Field, if this game was played on the frozen tundra of Metropolitan Stadium, I'm with you. I could live with that. But this was played indoors on grass, no less, and you still couldn't muster up a touchdown for either team? 3-rip.
Yep.
Set it back 75 years, man.
I thoroughly enjoyed the defensive ride. And then, of course, later that night, the Minnesota Wild won a hockey game. 3-rip over the Seattle Kraken. I mean, what were the odds of 2 Minnesota teams winning 3-0 games in the same day? Look, Brian Flores, I think, has done an outstanding job.
Right.
I mean, there's no question about it. He's hopefully going to be on the radar for a head coaching job in the offseason. We'll see. I don't know about these NFL owners. They don't like to hire African Americans. That's a fact. There's a lot of guys that get bypassed. Maybe he gets another chance. We'll see.
Well, but he has a skeleton in his closet as far as the owners are concerned.
Yeah.
He rat-finked on his owner down in Miami for telling him to throw games so that they could get a higher draft pick. So he's out the door.
Yeah, Stephen Boss Ross, the owner down there in SoFlo, South Florida. You're right. He dimed him out, but he saved his reputation.
I
because
agree.
Any coach that would have said, yeah, I'm going to tank so we can get a higher pick and know you're going to lose your job anyways, good for Brian Flores. We'll see how it works out. I know Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings would love to keep him. Without him, where would they be now?
I have no idea because their defense was an absolute mess a year ago.
It was, and they won 13 games in the regular season. They finished 13-4. They had a playoff loss to the New York Giants. So what is odd about this year is they probably have a better team, clearly a better defense. But they may not even get to the playoffs. That's still in flux. I feel like they're going to get there, but it's not a slam dunk.
No, by no stretch of the imagination is it a slam dunk. Your thoughts on the quarterback carousel now? I've been saying all along that they tried to turn Josh Dobbs into Kirk Cousins, making him a pocket passer, having him stand back there out of the shotgun. I've said that I thought that they should do it like he did in the first game. Roll him out, bootleg him, whatever. Yeah. And Josh Dobbs is not Kirk Cousins. He doesn't pass with the precision. He doesn't have the experience that Kirk Cousins. He doesn't have the arm that Kirk Cousins has. But maybe then you should stick with Nick Mullins. Because that's what this guy, he's a pocket guy. He moves about as well as Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, he's a statue.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this, as a head coach and an offensive coordinator, you've got to play to your quarterback's strength.
No doubt.
I'm not sure, as you've been pointing out, Kevin O'Connell did that. I'll go back a few years. If you look at Don Shula, who's the winningest coach in NFL history, when he was winning those Super Bowls and they were perfect in 72, it was Bob Greasy, a lot of handoffs to Larry Zonka, Mercury Morris, Jim Kick. A couple times he'd blow the top off the defense with Paul Warfield. But they were a conservative, run-dominated team. Then he got a guy by the name of Dan Marino and Mark Clayton and Mark Duper, the Marx brothers. And
right.
Don Shula changed. He became a pass-happy coach. And I'm not so sure that O'Connell changed the right way with Joshua Dobbs. I'll say this for the pastronaut. Thanks for the memories, at least for a couple games. It was fun. It was a wild ride. He's a likable guy. And it's hard to believe, though, he's cratered so quickly.
Yes, his ship literally has sailed and failed.
The comet known as Joshua has come and gone through the sky.
Yes, it has. All right. Apparently, we're going to talk some pucks coming up next.
We are. We'll talk about the Professional Women's Hockey League set to debut here early in 2024 here on 10K Takes, your purple ticket.
In Lakeville, Minnesota, dozens of meeting venues are ready to host your next corporate event, banquet, and holiday party. Lakeville has unique conference facilities, a variety of hotels, an abundance of team-building options, and dining that are sure to impress. For suggestions that suit your needs, please call the Lakeville Convention and Visitors Bureau at 952-469-2020 or go to visitlakeville.org. Lakeville, we mean business.
The excitement is real at Fond du Lac Casino. With over 650 slots to play, there's always something going on right in the heart of downtown Duluth. Come in to enjoy 2 floors of entertainment where you'll find some of the hottest new games along with a number of the old favorites. Play at your comfort level all the way up to high stakes where the payouts can be huge. Relax in a comfortable atmosphere and maybe get a beverage while you gather and have fun with your friends. Open 7 days a week so you can
have a great time out at Fond du Lac.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10,000 Takes skates along. Talking some pucks this week here on 10,000 Takes. And a newly developed league. There always has been, or recently anyway, women's professional hockey. Now we have the Professional Women's Hockey League with 6 franchises, including one in Minnesota and one in Ottawa. And the one in Ottawa features a former Minnesota athlete. She went to high school at Centennial High School. She played her college hockey at UMD. That's Gabbie Hughes. Gabbie, thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about this league. What can we expect, and why is it different than the league that the Whitecaps used to play in?
Yeah, I think this league is supported by a lot of people and a lot of big names like Billy. BJK has just been amazing in her support of us and our league and building it up. And I think the backing that we have is going to take this league a really, really far way. And so far, everything that they've done has just been absolutely professional. Having a professional draft where you felt like you're a professional athlete was unbelievable to have. So you can expect fast-paced games, really good skill. I don't think there's going to be a bad team or even a bad line on any of the teams that we have in this league. So I'm really excited to see what we bring.
Yeah, and it's cool, Gabbie, because you and the other gals this season, you're trailblazers. I mean, you're breaking new ground in a lot of ways. I'm guessing the goal or the hope has to be that this PWHL can be similar to the WNBA, which has been around now like 25 years and really has, good roots. Do you think that maybe that'll eventually happen with the PWHL?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's not too far off to reach for that. And I think what we have going so far this year is to establish that and have a really great year and get people to come and watch games and support our league so that we can continue to grow and we can stay around for a really long time. But like you said, hopefully we can start doing what the WNBA is doing and really get a professional league going here.
And I know you're starting soon with your games, but as you have seen some of the players that you're going to be playing with and against, compare that level of hockey to what you experienced at UMD.
It's crazy how at each level you continue to be shocked at how skilled women hockey player can be. I remember coming out of high school and having my first practice at Duluth and being so scared of how fast the game was compared to high school, just going into college. And that's the same thing here, coming from college into this professional league. Our practices are extremely fast paced, and there's not one girl in any lineup of any team that's going to fall behind or that you feel like isn't as skilled as anybody else. So it's been challenging, and it's making me a better hockey player and a better person being with these players. So it's really fun and exciting.
All right, so if Minnesota is the state of hockey, Canada has to be the nation of hockey. And you're right there in Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada. So this has got to be a lot of fun to be up there where it's family, faith, and pucks, and not necessarily in that order.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. I mean, we did a team scavenger hunt one of our first days here in Ottawa, and people on the streets recognized some of our faces, and they were so excited. They already had season tickets, and just to see that in a big city, like in the nation's capital, and you have people coming up and recognizing, oh, you're a part of the new Professional Women's Hockey League here in Ottawa. So excited. We already have our season tickets. Like, it's just the coolest feeling ever. And we did a little autograph signing, and you never know with women's hockey how many people are truly going to show up. And you expect maybe, some youth teams here and there to come, but there was everybody, every age, every gender, every skill level of hockey. Not even hockey players in the city showed up just to meet us, and it was really cool. So I think our fan base here is already established and will only continue to grow.
So when you come to play the Minnesota franchise, you'll be playing at the XL Energy Center. Now, I know you got to play there as a senior in high school when you played in the state championship game against Edina a few years ago. But what's it going to be like for you to come back to Minnesota, basically home, and play at the X as a pro?
It's going to be a crazy feeling. And to know all of my really great friends, they're on that Minnesota team. Two of my really, really good friends from high school and college are on that team. So it's going to be fun to see them and compete against them. They'll be on their home rink, and it'll be weird for me to not have that be my home ice, being back in Minnesota, but have a little bittersweet taste in my mouth during that experience. So it'll be super cool to play there as a professional athlete, which is still so crazy for me to say.
And let me follow up on that. Are there players from Minnesota, either that you played with or against in high school, or from UMD that are on your team up in Ottawa?
There's one girl that I played with at UMD, Ashton Bell. We were really great friends, so it's nice to have a familiar face up here in Ottawa. And then girls that I played against throughout college, but no one from high school, really.
So, Gabbie, you go back to 2018 when you were at Centennial, and even your earlier years at UMD. Okay, so the guys, if you're good enough, you're getting drafted, might go to the NHL or overseas or something. Did you even think when you were a senior or a freshman with the Bulldogs that you could get paid to play hockey?
No, honestly, never. And that's a part of the crazy story when people ask me about this league is 5 years ago as a freshman in college, there was no option to play hockey after you're done with school. It's unless you wanted to go overseas. They had a pretty good league over in Sweden, but other than that, you were pretty much, if you're not playing for the national team, you're done. So just to see in the 5 years that I was at school, something like this develop at, for me, a perfect time, just fresh out of college and get to come into this new amazing league, was honestly a shock. And I'm just very proud of the girls that put this league together and really put this at a forefront.
And how is the league financially stabilized? Is it going to be through sponsorships? Are they dependent on, people showing up? You said that there's a lot of people who already have season tickets to watch your games. Is there a TV contract? Give me a little 411 on that.
Yeah, I think as of right now, just since it is so new in the first year, we're very relied on investors and people with donating money to the league and stuff like that. But as the league goes on this year, we're hoping that we bring in a lot of revenue and kind of can lean back on that, and the people that come to the games, hopefully they're buying hot dogs and popcorn and can bring us in a little bit of money. But other than that, as of right now, yeah, our first year is solely on our investors, and hopefully we can try to build away from that.
The NHL had the original 6 back in the day. So the PWHL has the same thing. I think it's Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, Minnesota, Boston, New York, if I have it right. So I'm guessing that you're hoping that there is expansion, that maybe this thing goes out to Los Angeles or Denver and just keep it growing.
Yeah, hopefully, definitely going to see how this first year goes, but maybe even after year 1, we can expand. That's our big thing, is we want to keep growing. We don't want to just play the same 6 teams for the next 4 or 5 years. We want to grow this thing, and we really want to make it something that's established and solidified for the next however many years to come. So yeah, hopefully we can start expanding out west. Right now we're definitely more East Coast, and continue to grow.
Without asking you specific numbers, back to the money thing, do you have to hold down a second job?
That's the amazing part about it is I don't, and that's
great.
That's me personally. They have a thing on the Players Association and the CBA that states only 6 players can make the minimum salary, which is 35. So no one can make less than 35, which is really nice, and that's not a whole lot of money, but it's enough for. You get a housing stipend, you get stipends monthly for groceries and bills and stuff like that. So still livable, and maybe during the summer you could get another job. But I would say the money that we're getting is really great.
Well, Gabbie, we appreciate you spending some time with us. It's great to hear the information about this league and to get more in tune with it. And we're looking forward to seeing you when you come to the XL Energy Center after the first of the year.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me and taking time to really talk about this and get our new league out there.
All right.
Good luck, Gabbie.
All right.
Thank you.
She is
very
Gabbie
much.
Hughes. She is going to play for Ottawa in the new PWHL, Professional Women's Hockey League. More here on 10,000 Takes after this timeout. Stay with us.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earrings. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Finding the ideal place to stay is important for business travelers. Lakeville, Minnesota is conveniently located off I-35, just south of the Twin Cities, with a variety of hotel choices. Lakeville offers convenient amenities such as shopping, walking trails, golf, and more. Our unique meeting spaces, historic downtown, live music, and over 60 dining options are sure to impress. Book your next stay in Lakeville and experience convenience, comfort, and quality. Find your perfect hotel at visitlakeville.org.
10,000 Takes, Wally and Eric. Some big news on the campus of the University of Minnesota this week. The longest tenured coach in the University of Minnesota history, our guy John Anderson, 14 as they call him over there, is going to retire at the end of the upcoming season. And 45 years as a coach at the University of Minnesota running that baseball program, 11 Big Ten titles. 18 NCAA appearances. I mean, the list goes on. Winningest coach in Big Ten history. One of the winningest coaches in NCAA history. I mean, John has been everything to that program. I know your kids went to his camps. My kids went to his camps. I've known John for a long time. He is going to be missed.
Yeah, I did go for baseball on the radio for 3 years, so I took a lot of trips with that team and John, and he's definitely a baseball guy. It's in his DNA. It's baked into John Anderson. Just baseball, that's what he loves. His teams typically were very fundamentally sound. Also turned out some major leaguers. I mean, guys like Terry Steinbach came out of there and plenty of others, Dan Wilson. So there's been a great pipeline of talent. I think the frustrating thing for John is college baseball could care less about the sport in the North. He's lobbied for years to get the College World Series moved from June in Omaha, push it back to July, so the teams in the North like Minnesota, Michigan, etc., can take advantage of better weather. But the programs in the Sun Belt don't want that because that means they're not going to win as many titles.
Yeah, exactly.
It's selfish.
Yeah, I mean, I could even see that being pushed back to August would make sense to make it more of a summer sport. That's absolutely what should be done.
It's a huge disadvantage. I remember a couple of years ago I was at the Super Bowl out there in Los Angeles, and I had an event at Pepperdine. This is in February, and I'm going to do this flag football broadcast, and I'm literally walking across the baseball field while Pepperdine is practicing outside in February. You can't do that here.
Yeah, or Michigan, or Ohio, or you name it.
Not in a lot of places.
Well, Wisconsin doesn't count because Wisconsin hasn't had a baseball program about 25 years now or longer. I'm not even sure when it was. All right, so 45 years. By the way, he started in 1976 as a student assistant. So you do the math on that. That's 48 going on 49 seasons. It's just amazing. I got a question for you. Do you think that P.J. Fleck will last 49 seasons as the football coach? Talking football Gophers now.
No.
No, okay. I just thought I'd throw it out there.
I'm sure that he will be testing the waters any chance he gets. The question with PJ now is, I think his stock has plummeted. Yeah. I'm not sure he's coveted by a lot of other schools. He's got to get on his horse and fix this thing, and I don't want to hear any more excuses about NIL money, transfer portal. PJ, everybody's playing by the same set of rules. I'm not saying it's easy. Not at all in Minnesota. Fights battles maybe that other programs don't. You got to fix it. You got to win. I don't think the fan base wants to hear that.
No, they don't want to hear the excuses. They want results. And when you're getting paid as much as he is, you better come up with some ways to win Big Ten football games.
And give some of that to the quarterbacks you want to come into your program.
Stop complaining about how much the quarterbacks make.
Defer it, like Shohei.
That's right. Oh, boy. We'll get into that a little bit later. All right. Before we close out this segment, your Minnesota Timberwolves, as I said at the top of the show, a great month of November. They have been as good or better than anybody in the NBA. Now they're on a very difficult part of their schedule, however. Let's see how they react to this.
Yeah, I mean, they've already beaten Boston. They've beaten Denver.
Right.
They knocked off Miami. Now, the other night, they faced New Orleans at full strength. Zion, who's only 6'6", was pushing around the skyscrapers of Rudy G and Cat, the 7-foot guys, and Ant didn't play. There's got to be some concern about Ant's hip. But there's no reason to not be optimistic about the Timberwolves. To assume they'll just garner the 1 seed and have the best record, let's not go that far. There's a lot of hoops left to be played. But to me, their minimum goal has to be we have to be, at the worst, the 4 seed in the playoffs. Got to get some home court.
Yep, I would agree with that. All right, takes of the day coming up next. You are watching 10,000 Takes, your golden Gopher ticket.
The excitement is real at Fond du Lac Casino. With over 650 slots to play, there's always something going on right in the heart of downtown Duluth. Come in to enjoy 2 floors of entertainment where you'll find some of the hottest new games along with a number of the old favorites. Play at your comfort level all the way up to high stakes where the payouts can be huge. Relax in a comfortable atmosphere and maybe get a beverage while you gather and have fun with your friends. Open 7 days a week so you can
have a great time out at Fond du Lac.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10K Takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode. We'll have takes of the day in a couple of minutes. We'll find out if you're all heated up, if you're an angry American, or dare I say it, spreading some Christmas cheer.
A little early for that.
Okay, gotcha. The Minnesota Wild, since they made the coaching change from Dean Evison to John Hines, boy, the team has caught fire. And I'm not saying it was Evison's fault.
Yes, you are. Clearly it's his
fault.
fault.
Well, the record's pretty good. 5-1 in his first 6 games. And they only lost 2-0 at Vancouver. But the defense and the goaltending has made quantum leaps as far as getting better.
Yeah. I mean, and as long as they continue to defend, much like your Vikings, the other team doesn't score, you can't lose, right?
It's all about defense, just like the Timberwolves. That's how they're winning.
That's true. There is some truth to this. Make a note of that, Minnesota Twins, pitching and defense as you go into the free agent market to not sign guys like Shohei. Look, I think that, if they're able to continue to play defense like they've been, they'll be okay. Now, whether they're able to move into that next tier of teams to be a playoff contender, right now, I don't know. I'm not sure that they're that where they need to be. They need Kirill Kaprizov to show up.
Yeah.
They need Boldy to show up. I mean, they've gotten some production out of them recently, but, this is just a very small sample size. Let's see how they're going to do over the long run here, over the next month or so. I think you're going to know a lot more by this time next month.
And get those guys off the milk carton permanently.
Yeah.
And, they dug a deep hole. And just to get to sea level is taking all of these wins and then some. So we'll find out. All right, takes of the day.
Yes.
We're going to find out, what you're thinking this week. Are you all heated up or are you in a good mood? What is it?
Well, I don't know if I'm angry, but I will say this. If you recall the 2000 presidential campaign, it was George W. Bush and Al Gore. And Al Gore, the vice president at the time, accused George W. Bush of fuzzy math. Well, I'm accusing Shohei Ohtani, his accountants, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and Major League Baseball of fuzzy math. What in the world is going on? They're going to pay this guy $700 million over 10 years. Oh, wait a minute. They're not going to do that. They're going to give him $2 million a year for 10 years and then $68 million a year deferred for 10 years after that. How in the world did they come up with this formula? Why is Major League Baseball allowing this? Well, the collective bargaining agreement with the players says that you can defer it and there are no penalties, there's no interest, no nothing. So the Dodgers say, what the heck? Well, I say if the Minnesota Twins knew about this $2 million a year thing with Shohei, you should have been signing Shohei Ohtani. Where were you, Derek Falvey? Where were you, Thad Levine? Where were you, Jim Pohlad? $2 million a year for Shohei? You should have stepped up to the plate. Actually, it's fuzzy math.
Oh, boy. Let's see what the mood meter says. Oh, a sarcastic Sam. He's throwing shade on the Dodgers, on Shohei, on MLB. Well,
and the Twins.
And the Twins, of course. Well, maybe it's a different conversion from the dollar to yen. Who knows, right?
Yeah, well, he's getting away with not paying taxes in California. That's going to help Shohei.
Good for Shohei.
Sure. Yeah.
Dude, I want some tips on that. Okay, in Minnesota, by the way. Well, my take of the day, I'm going to give a shout-out to the Duluth Fire Department. Last week, a woman was walking her dog right there by the lift bridge. You have the ship canal where the barges and freighters go in and out.
Right.
Frigid night in Duluth. Of course,
imagine
that's
that.
Most nights. Yeah, shocker. And 8-foot waves are whipping up and down on Lake Superior. And the 70-pound pit bull gets out of his leash, goes into the ship canal. The woman's in a panic. She's frantic. She wants to jump in and save her dog, but was talked out of it. So they call 911. Here comes the DFD, the Duluth Fire Department, and they get into the canal.
Wow.
They save the dog. It was a struggle, but the dog and the woman were reunited, and it was an early Christmas gift. Maybe that she can take the dog and walk her around Bentleyville and look at all the lights and stay away from the lake.
Please.
And on that note, we got to FedEx out our thank yous. One to David Weld, Alex Yambrick, Rocky, Paul Langfellow. For Wally, I'm Eric, saying so long. This is 10K Takes Your Sports Ticket.